Hey, what's going on, guys? The Horror Man back with a huge haul of Blu-rays, DVDs, and VHS tapes.
Let's get physical, physical. I wanna get physical.
Media. This will probably be my last haul video for a while, since the 31 Days of Horror starts tomorrow. But I do have a lot to show to hold you over until the next one. There are a lot of VHS tapes to show, so I'll save those for the end. But first, the Blu-rays. First is one you just saw on Wednesday when I reviewed this movie. It's Rob Zombie's The Munsters. I finally found Mel Gibson's Apocalypto on Blu-ray. This movie is pretty hard to find, although I have come across the DVD quite regularly as of late. I own that DVD, but I've always kept an eye out for the Blu-ray and have not found a copy until now. I found Joker on Blu-ray at the thrift store, and since I only own this one on DVD as well, I decided to pick it up. I've never seen this, but I also found it at the thrift store, so why not? A Star is Born, the Encore edition. Lady Gaga, full frontal nudity. I picked up this 4-disc edition of the Total Recall remake, because I'm sure Jason and I will be covering this one during Positive Spin at some point. I grabbed this Blu-ray DVD combo pack of Ouija from the thrift store, since I own Part 2 and Part 3 of the series. And the last of the Blu-rays was an absolutely amazing find. It's the Arrow release of Dawn of the Dead. This has all 3 cuts of the film, and it's a UK release. However, it is region-free. It figures that I just recently posted a 4 or more video showing my Dawn of the Dead collection. Well, here's another one. On to the DVDs now. I found a brand new, still sealed copy of Baby Driver at the thrift store, and I've never seen it, so I picked it up. I also grabbed this Scream Factory DVD release of the Cabin Fever remake. I picked up Mean Streets at the thrift store because for some reason I've never owned this film. It's Scorsese's first movie with De Niro. I finally came across a copy of Ginger Snaps 2, Unleashed. And I grabbed Alone in the Dark for Positive Spin. This is the 2005 very much hated film. I bought this 2-movie collection of The Addams Family and The Addams Family 2. The animated movies, based on a recommendation from Jason. This was sort of an oddball thrift store find. It's a movie called Blood Jungle, which I don't know much about. And then at another thrift store, I found this oddball. It's a short film called Awake. And now into the hefty VHS portion of this collection update, many of which I received from my buddy Horror with Haas here on YouTube, so shout out to him. All of the others were found at thrift stores. Here's the Anchor Bay Collector's Edition clamshell release of Two Lane Blacktop. And as you can see, it comes in this silver clamshell. Very cool. Here's Sam Raimi's A Simple Plan, starring Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, and Bridget Fonda. The original MCA home video VHS release of Back to the Future. Back to the Future 2, and Back to the Future 3. And here's the original VHS release of Child's Play 2 with this classic cover art. Here's the original Columbia Pictures VHS release of Midnight Express. And the Anchor Bay Collector's Edition of Hellbound Hellraiser 2. Rolling Thunder, starring William Devane and Tommy Lee Jones. This is the Good Times release. The Believers with Martin Sheen. I'm really happy to have this one on tape. Here's Deliverance on VHS. This is a Warner Brothers release. And an original Paramount home video release of Marathon Man. I love this cover. David Lynch's Dune, most likely another contender for the Positive Spin series. And Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. The CBS Fox Video VHS release of David Cronenberg's The Fly, and Altered States on VHS. I've never owned this movie until now. Here's Alien 3 to go along with my VHS copies of Alien and Aliens, as well as the making of Alien 3 on VHS. A different edition of Harold and Maude on VHS from the one I already own. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have the MGM book box release of this on tape, but here's the slipcase release. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. This is the 1978 remake starring Donald Sutherland. And here is Soylent Green on VHS. Be careful what you eat. Next up, we have Darkness Falls on VHS. This is the 1999 movie starring Sherilyn Fenn. And here's Repo Man, which will probably be featured in a 4 or more video at some point. Here's the MGM Midnight Movies VHS release of The Haunted Palace. Laser Mission, starring the late Brandon Lee. Till Death Do Us Part, starring Treat Williams. Here's a different VHS release of Mazes and Monsters from the one I already own. Here's a screening copy of Adrift. This one is pretty obscure. You saw this in my latest 4 or more video. It's Dawn of the Dead, the original director's cut. This is the 2-tape Anchor Bay release. Speaking of 2 tapes, I thought this was a cool find. It's a brand new, still-sealed 2-pack of Raising Cain and Dressed to Kill on VHS. I do own the Anchor Bay clamshell VHS release of this, but I couldn't leave this HBO video release behind. Mephisto. I found the original Key Video release of Hot Dog, the movie. And here's a still-sealed screening copy of Secret Agent Club, starring Hulk Hogan. Speaking of the Hulk, here's another still-sealed screening copy of Santa with Muscles. Here's yet another sealed screening copy. It's Amateur. A full-length screening copy of Unknown Origin. And a screener of Ghost in the Machine. I do have the regular VHS release of this as well. Here's a double feature screening copy of The Babe and Sweet Poison. And a sealed double feature screener featuring The Ticket, which I do own as a regular VHS release, and The Stepsister, which is actually pretty rare. Hey, here's some more of Hulk Hogan with The Missing Matches. Thought this was a pretty cool tape. Did you know that some consider this to be the most perfect movie ever made? The Princess Bride on VHS. I picked up Without a Paddle on tape. This is a funny movie and I love the cast. And Weekend at Bernie's on VHS, because, well, why not? I bought Blazing Saddles on VHS, because God knows it's only a matter of time before this movie gets canceled. And I found this Mystery Science Theater 3000 tape of Manos, Hands of Fate. I can guarantee that Jason and I will be giving this one a positive spin at some point. As a matter of fact, the videos are already filmed. Here's Dr. Jekyll and Ms. Hyde on VHS. I've always loved this cover. And speaking of covers, remember when video stores used to do this? Put these giant stickers right on the cover art? Well, apparently this video store did just that. This is the VHS release of Hobbs End. Shout out to my buddy, Hobbs Horror. I found Time Runner with Mark Hamill. I remember watching this one hosted by Joe Bob Briggs. And last, but certainly not least, is a movie Jason and I recently watched together, and it happens to be his favorite movie of all time, The Osterman Weekend. This is the Thorn EMI Video VHS release. I remember seeing this cover at the video store and not knowing anything about this film. In fact, it wasn't until Jason told me about it that I actually knew what it was. It turns out I had been missing out on a fantastic movie for all these years because I absolutely loved it, and I can understand why it's his favorite film of all time. Jason had sent me the Anchor Bay DVD release, which is a beautiful set, but I was happy to also find The Osterman Weekend on VHS. So that's it, guys, for this collection update. What do you think? comment below and let me know. Don't forget, the 31 Days of Horror starts tomorrow. For more information on what I'll be doing this year for it, be sure to check out my channel update video, which I'll link on the end screen of this one. Thanks for watching, guys. Hit that thumbs up and be kind, subscribe.